J. Julio Vela here with Justin Harris, together with the Harris County Criminal Lawyers Association and Houston media source, Reasonable Doubt. It's been a while. Justin Harris, how you doing?
Doing good, man. How are you?
Oh my gosh, good to be back, quite frankly. I don't know why we don't do this more often.
Like once a week, right?
God, it's probably been a month.
No, I was here 2 weeks ago.
Oh, you were, and I heard you held it down strong.
We had Judge Singer. He did a great job.
Well, that was the word at the courthouse.
Hey, I can't see you. Can you see me?
Hey, you know, that's the same reason I went to the eye doctor today, because I didn't know what I saw.
Is it my glasses?
Oh,
my glasses?
I didn't know what I saw in that idea.
Okay. Yeah, so I had quite a few changes since we last got to speak in front of the cameras.
Well, what do you want to start with? You want to start with the Mac, or you just want to start talking about politics?
I mean, this is your show.
It's not my show, it's the People's Show. Well, so fine. Well, then for the People's Show, let's start recognizing some big wins. Justin Harris with the not guilty last week on a DWI.
Well, it was an assault, but yeah.
On an assault? Really? Assault family member? Yeah. Guy on guy, no. Guy on girl, girl on girl, girl on dude?
It was a self-defense case between two women.
Good.
So.
What judge? What judge?
It was in Court 8, Judge Franklin Bynum.
How's he doing?
He's doing well. He's doing well.
Was this post-election or pre-election?
It was. We picked the jury Wednesday after Election Day that afternoon, and
oh snap!
Got the verdict back about 6 o'clock on Thursday. A week ago.
Did y'all hang out afterwards?
No, the jury was kind of tired. They wanted to get out of there. The court staff did as well, so we all kind of just packed up and got out of there. My client got some bad news during the verdict when we were waiting for the jury to come back. That had nothing to do with the case, but she needed to get out of there too. So we all just kind of took off.
Isn't that on the heels of some sort of motion to suppress mid-trial dismissal a week before?
That's right.
I remember that.
Yeah, but I didn't want to. There's so many other things to talk about than me.
Well, we can talk about some other big wins. Eddie Cortez was on a continuous, and he got a guilty on a lesser. Mario Madrid pulling a continuous out with a not guilty. Who else? Hey, look at that. Public defender Roger Donnelly not guilty on evading arrest. Hannah Herzog. Y'all remember Hannah Herzog?
Yeah, I see Hannah a lot.
Yeah, Hannah just got a not guilty. She works at the PD's office on an evading arrest. Who else? A lot of people got some good dismissals. A lot of people got some good wins this week. You know, I see the courts are finally getting to trial, and you know, the feet are going to have to get to the fire these days, and I like it, and I'm seeing it. Are you afraid not afraid, give me a break. Justin Harris is never afraid. However, I am somewhat concerned that some of the changing of the guard is going to change a little bit about the push on the ideas that first brought this Democratic wave in. I think some of the people that were elected are a bit more swing towards the left middle. But then again, there's at least one or two that I can't explain. I don't know. What do you think?
Ooh, I'm not real sure what the question is, but I mean, I think that we got like some of the judges who were unseated. The people who unseated them are going to be a little bit more right on the political spectrum.
Saying, right? I think so.
A little more conservative.
Yeah.
I mean, most of them, do all of them?
I don't think all of them
come from the district attorney's office. Did all the Did all the people who unseated incumbent Democrats in the primary, and frankly, that's all who was up for re-election, were all of them
No,
current employees of the Harris County District Attorney's Office?
no.
Who? Okay.
First people, well, let's go through 'em. I mean, right out the gate, you're talking Jamal and Silverman.
Right.
I mean, right out the gate, okay. Kat Thomas and Abigail Anastasia, Judge
Yeah,
Anastasia.
that's
Okay,
true.
well, Kat's a prosecutor. Um,
So Jamal is public defender.
Mary
That's
Miller,
one.
the one that so
263rd.
yeah, she lost. Judge Amy Martin.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Where's Miller from?
I don't know. I'm not too familiar with her, but a
What
lot
does
of
she do?
people are. A lot of people are.
Right. I definitely know the name. I just don't know where she's hailing from right now.
Well, and I think
Who else unseated incumbents? Got a couple in county court.
Jarrell's more of a swing towards the middle than Judge Singer.
Court 14.
Erica is a more swing towards the middle or right, if some people would argue. From Judge Bynum.
And so that's court 8. But Jarrell and Erica, they're both prosecutors. Are they still with the district attorney's office today? Do you know?
Both of them are, yeah.
Okay.
Who else?
We had Judge Singer on 2 weeks ago. He was saying that never before has a district attorney allowed assistant district attorneys to run for judge while still working in the office. I haven't verified that, but have you ever heard of that happening before?
I mean, I've only been I'm a wee lad of 13 years, 14 years. I've always remembered district attorneys or members of the district attorney's office running for judgeship. My mind could be warped and it could be implanted.
Yeah, they would typically leave the office, right?
I don't know if they
Or they would have left the office and they run. Like Judge Anastasia, right? She did. She left the office and then ran for judge.
Yeah.
Kristen Guinea, she left the office and ran for judge.
I don't recall. I don't know.
I'm just trying to think. I don't know. It was Judge Singer had said that or suggested that it hadn't been done before, and I haven't checked that. I don't know how I would. But.
Well, I heard that Kim Ogg is putting her people to send emails to the precincts that they submit a case and judges are finding no PC, shooting emails out there to say, hey, no PC was found on this. Now, that could be the end of it, but at the same time, one could suggest that it's a push to say rewrite this report so that way a PC can be found.
Right.
I don't know. That's what I heard.
Well, they can do that, right?
Yeah, and that's fine. So what?
Right. That's what they would do. Like, let's say a judge. Let's say an officer pulls somebody over, right, for speeding, and they walk up and they say, no, let's back up. They get an accident, right? There's an accident, minor accident, whatever. Police come out, and the officers go up to one of the drivers, who I guess they say caused the accident, and they're like, hey, come over here and do some field sobriety tests for me. And they just start putting them through the field sobriety test, and they say that they failed the field sobriety tests. And then they call the DA's office, and the DA's office accepts DWI charges. But when the probable cause is read in front of a judge, all it said is there was an accident, officers arrived, they asked defendant to do field sobriety tests. He got 6 of 6 on the HGN, 3 of 4 on the one leg stand, and 6 of 8 on the walk and turn, right? And but what's missing from that?
Everything else?
Right? There's no signs of intoxication. There's no articulated facts that would have led the officer to believe that this person was intoxicated to then lead to the detention for an investigation for DWI. So a judge finds no probable cause, right? Well, the DA's office, if they want to take that to the grand jury, they can. And one thing they can do is go to the officer and say, hey, was there any signs of intoxication? If the officer's like, oh, yeah, there was. Like, there were beer cans that were rolling around in the back of his car, and he smelled like alcohol. And I asked him if he'd been drinking, and he said, yes, he had. And his speech was slurred, and he was unsteady on his feet, and his eyes were red and glassy, all the standard stuff, right? Well, they're allowed to, the law allows them to fix that and then resubmit the probable cause determination to the grand jury. So they can do that. Now, I think the optics of it aren't real great. And that's what I think our complaint is that when a judge makes a ruling, it's like the DA's office is tipping off the officers on how to fix their mistakes. And if we're not comfortable with that, I think that we should consider maybe making some changes to our legal code. But I think they're allowed to do that. My problem is that I'm seeing, on social media, law enforcement agencies are turning to that more to turn pressure up on the judges. I saw, a constable was bragging on social media about how they arrested a shoplifter in a grocery store. And, then he made a note that the court set the bond at $100. And then he noted what court and what judge it was, right? So, and it was Court 9, Judge Finch. But JV, you've done this long enough. Let me ask you. Let's say today on March 10th, the police arrest somebody for shoplifting at a grocery store. Make a couple of assumptions. Is that a misdemeanor or a felony case?
Misdemeanor.
All right. So then they go get a bond set, right? The case gets filed. It gets assigned to a court, right? Let's say it gets assigned to Court 9, Judge Finch, randomly. Now, how long before Judge Finch even knows about that case? What's the earliest number of days that the judge will be aware of that case?
72 hours.
Okay. Is the person going to still be in jail on that case? Most likely. In the general, we're talking about an average situation like this. Are they still going to be in jail in 72 hours when Judge Finch even becomes aware of the case?
No. Not nowadays.
No. They will have seen another judge, right?
Yes.
And that judge is called a magistrate. And that magistrate will have done what at that point, among other things?
Given a PR bond, set a bond.
Well, set a bond amount, right? And our county got sued in federal court and lost, right, over PR bonds. So now if the court sets a bond at $100 on a nonviolent offense, what happens?
They get a general order bond or $100 PR bond.
Automatically, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of misinformation. If you read these social media posts that law enforcement is starting to use more often, there's a lot of misinformation out there. It's not correct. Like Constable Mark Herman, I know you're watching because you watch every week. I know you do. But it's not fair to say Judge Finch set a $100 bond on a shoplifting case when Judge Finch hasn't even had that case come across a docket yet. She didn't set that bond. A magistrate did. And a magistrate set it, and the person got out for free because the county lost after a federal lawsuit over this. So I'm sorry, I'm getting on a rant, but I'm getting really frustrated seeing how much misinformation is out there, and the public is getting all up in arms. And you should have seen the comments on the social media post. It was like, don't let these criminals out and stuff. And if any one of those people had any idea how much money it would cost taxpayers to house somebody who stole groceries from a grocery store, to house them in the Harris County Jail versus give a bond and let them out and let them come answer for what they did the appropriate way that our system is set up, then they would stop complaining. But sorry, I will stop now. Go ahead, JB.
No, what precinct is that?
4.
4?
Uh-huh.
What's his name?
Mark Herman.
Well, 4's terrible with the videos also.
Oh, God, yeah. I mean, this is the same constable's precinct that, like, how many scandals have they had over their evidence?
Didn't one, somebody
they had
was...
a leaky sprinkler. Yeah. Then they had, like, the captain who was, like, retiring, and he just went through the evidence room and, like, threw away a bunch of evidence of criminal cases. Like, Mark Herman, you got other things to deal with, Stop bragging about people stealing groceries from Kroger or HEB.
Who's the law enforcement officer that said, I'm retaliating and I'm pushing back all the no PC cases?
It might have been him, or was it one of the commissioners?
No, it was. I think it was him.
It might have been Herman. I know he had some big public. I got some notice that he was having. I live in Precinct 4, but I got some notice that he was having some press conference about how he was going to hold judges accountable.
That's the one.
Yeah. And I guess it's by posting on social media when they arrest the shoplifter for taking groceries from HEB. And he got away on a bicycle, by the way. He fled on a bicycle. So it was enough groceries that you can carry on a bicycle. And that's what the constable is posting on social media. Like, that's where our law enforcement is, like, making strides against crime that they think they should wave around on a banner.
Well, I mean, maybe.
Right.
I'm trying to. No, maybe. Okay, so I'm trying to see here. Precinct 4, the commissioner is Jack Cagle, but that's not what we're talking about.
No. That's different.
We're talking about. I need to see.
Constable.
Constable.
Deputy constable, not deputy constable. 4. Constable. Hey, look, it's Murray Newman.
Murray, we can't get on the Facebook, bro.
What?
Did you just get out of hair and makeup?
I did.
We sent you there like 5 hours ago.
Yeah, I know. It took a lot. It took a lot.
We can't get on the Facebook, so.
What? You broke it?
I guess.
Mark did it. It was Mark.
No.
It was all Mark.
So, like, we're the only 3 people watching this right now?
Yes, maybe. And
public access and hmstv.org.
It gets.
Mark's there. Mark's watching. Yeah.
It gets pumped out to the universe.
I broke
man.
it. Yeah.
What do we need to talk about? The 4 of us. We got to have something important we need to accomplish here.
Let's just go ahead and I think we should start talking about. Since nobody's watching, I think we have candid conversations about who's been elected. So I'm just gonna go through this, and we'll go one by one. I know Murray was somewhat neutral in some of his blog posts. But now that it's over, let's see where we're at. So I'm just going through this.
Well, let me ask this, Murray. Were there any surprises in your opinion?
Yeah, there were some surprises, at least to me. I think anytime you've got a 3-way race where someone wins without a runoff, that's interesting.
Who was that one?
There were a couple actually. If you look at Lena Hidalgo won big in like about a 50 million person race.
Wow.
That's amazing. They didn't have a runoff on that one.
That was pretty impressive because I think that there are rumors out there that our esteemed district attorney had run a candidate against her, and.
Is that Vidal or whatever the other white Mexican, whatever his white Mexican name was?
Oh, that's he's the Republican. Oh. He's in a runoff in the Republican primary for county judge. Portia Brown won without a runoff, which is really impressive, especially for a political newcomer.
From what I understand, nobody wants to call out Portia on some sort of residency requirement.
So there was some.
That's what I hear, dude.
There was some weirdness because she got appointed to the bench and then declined it because I don't think her residency requirement had been fulfilled then. At least that's just the scuttlebutt. My understanding is it will be fulfilled in a timely manner.
Well, there was a big deal about why Stacey Bigger didn't bring it up, and who else was running against her?
It was a guy named Lorenzo Williams, who I'm not familiar with.
Lorenzo.
I know Lorenzo.
Lorenzo's been around, bro.
Is he a prosecutor?
He used to be a prosecutor.
He was.
Then went and worked for Okwesi, and then started doing heavy Fort Bend. Left Okwesi. Started maybe working. Man, I don't want to say.
I see him Harris County, Montgomery, Fort Bend.
He's around.
Yeah, he was a tough prosecutor. I was not sorry to see him
I don't remember.
Go in the good side.
I don't think I must not have ever had any dealings with him. Let me
Well,
see. I'm looking here. So if we're going to go down the list, and the only one
my understanding on the issue with Portia is that she was just a couple of weeks away when she got the appointment, and then like by now she satisfies it.
Right.
I don't know if
I've
that
been back
works.
and
I don't
forth
know if
because I
that
think she's
works.
from El Paso, right?
I think it's upon time of filing. I ain't trying to stir nothing up, but Stacy
But you're totally trying to stir something up.
I'm just trying to say, like, Stacy and Lorenzo kept their mouths shut. Portia's an amazing woman. I've heard nothing but good things about her. I've heard nothing but positives.
Yeah.
And you know, she's supposed to be a darn good, fair human. And you know,
I got to see her arguing an interesting motion to suppress issue. Thank you. My legal assistant just showed up to hand me a Apple Pencil. Oh, I left it.
It's true. It's true.
So I got to see her argue a motion to suppress with the PD's office. She seemed to know what she was doing up there. So
why Stacy? Because Stacy put it in the bench later, and I talked to her about it, and I think it was between that court and a couple other courts. You know, she could have picked a different spot. Now Lorenzo, I don't know why Lorenzo picked that bench either.
It was vacant. I mean, that's the whole thing. You had a vacant bench. You had that, and you had that in the 482nd, Court 3, and Court 10. You had vacancies where nobody was facing an incumbent. So
let's take a look at the 482nd.
Yeah, Veronica won without a
without a runoff.
Yeah, that was commanding. I adore me some Veronica. She is
Alicia Harvey. Do we know her?
Talk about somebody who's like made to be a judge, right? Veronica Nelson. I mean,
do we know? I mean,
she's very, very smart. She's going to be a very good judge.
No, Veronica's straight, but do we know Alicia or Charlene?
Yeah, Alicia Harvey's been out forever. She's great too. I don't have anything bad to say about her. I don't know Charlene Cruz. I know that people who have worked with her at the PD's office were very high on her. They thought a lot of her. Veronica just comes out of nowhere, political newcomer, and just to win in a three-way race as a political newcomer is extremely, extremely impressive.
She's very well respected. I mean, she comes from the judge's lawyer. She hit the home run in that Facebook post all of us have seen.
Yeah, she's got an interesting backstory. She's in the Hall of Fame at Cal for her role in softball and
really
back in the day.
There's been at least I've seen her close at least 2 cases, murder, another one manslaughter, maybe whatever it was, big case, and I was ancillary on one of them. I've never seen her lose. I think it was Todd DuPont. Todd and I are sitting on some case, and Veronica Nelson just goes in there and just kills it. No pun intended. And
I tried a case against Veronica.
She's so good.
But she was a 3. And it was a case her chief made her try. It was like this really, really stupid bootlegging case, like of bootleg CDs. And
CDs? I was like, please say alcohol. Please say it's alcohol.
No, it was CDs. It was counterfeit CDs. Where basically my client was just basically like getting a bunch of blank CDs, writing like Beyonce, selling them in a parking lot. You know,
they were blank CDs.
But you know what though? He's my second favorite counterfeiter ever. Number 1 just went and bought a bunch of black ceiling tiles and stuck an Apple sticker on them and was selling them as iPads.
Hey. Hard drives.
So I was like, man, that. And then, like, how do you really even say that's counterfeiting?
Wait.
Yeah, I mean,
isn't there like some kind of like consent to be like ripped off? That's what it takes.
Yeah, I mean, that's like saying I have a CD. I don't really have anything, but they're like, oh, you're counterfeiting, man. I mean, that's a pretty loose standard. But the funny thing about
That
the
is
case
so
that
funny.
I tried with Veronica, we didn't really know each other, but I'm a firm believer that when you try a case against someone, you either A, become good friends with them, or B, decide you're going to
Hate them forever.
They die.
Mhm.
Fortunately, most of my experiences have been that I've gotten to be friends with whoever I tried the case against, and that was the case with Veronica. But it turned out well for me. It hung up 10-2 for
Whoa.
not guilty, and then we worked it out for some back time, which I think Veronica would have done in the first place if her chief had let her. But so anyway, every time I see this guy, he's a repeat customer, and he's normally in the courthouse, usually for some pretty relatively harmless stuff. But every time we see each other, we take a picture together and send it to Veronica.
Nice. Yes. So, okay, Veronica versus Maritza Ann 2. How's that shaping out? Mexicans didn't really come out and vote. We had a lot of Hispanics go down. When I thought the Hispanics were gonna make a push, but they certainly didn't. Or, I mean, not to say that they didn't, or they voted for, which we're not, for my personal, not HCLA or anything opinion, made some of these benches that won big made some pretty good statements, and some of them were against Hispanics.
Yeah, well, it was definitely not the primary of the Latino this year
No.
around. It
Right.
was not. You had some. There's not a whole lot of rhyme and reason to who won and who didn't. I ticked off a lot of the prosecutorial candidates for saying that I had heard, which I did from reliable sources, that Kim and her upper admin were encouraging people to run against incumbent judges who they disagreed with on bonds.
Was that true, or was that a rumor?
It's
I
true.
believe it to be true. I have had some of the candidates
Yes.
tell me that's not true. I also
No.
had some clients tell me they're not guilty. So,
Fair.
I have had candidates tell me that. I didn't even ask them. They were like, oh, yeah, they came to me and asked me to run. And I said, who's they? And the names they've said back are upper brass Harris County District Attorney's Office employees.
Right. So
their bosses came and said, hey, I have an idea.
Yeah, so the DA's office, their upper administration has just gotten just shameless about lying. From the tweets that they're putting out, it's pretty bad. Like David Mitchum went to a judges meeting, which I know that Joe Venus attended, and he literally said the words to the judges that they better get on board with Kim's vision or there would be consequences.
Wow.
Yeah.
They said we won't forget or something like that, right? We'll remember.
It was
there will be
not even a veiled threat, and so there was a lot of pushback. I don't know how much that really matters to the general electorate, but boy, I ticked off a lot of my friends who are running on that. And
does Kim Ogg have that kind of power? I mean, she's the sitting DA, okay, but does she really?
She does.
They unseated. We just counted them off. They unseated 3 judges.
Yeah, and that was just in the felony courts too. I mean, there's misdemeanor 2 to be accounted for. But the thing is that Kim Ogg, you got to remember, comes from a political family. Her father was a very powerful state senator, Jack Ogg, and so like her ties run deep. The only knock that Kim's ever had in the Democratic Party is that there for a while she was a Republican and ran as a Republican back when you had to if you wanted to win. But she definitely is very skilled at playing both sides of the fence when it comes to, because I mean, if you look at a lot of her platform ideas, they're very conservative and very Republican. And it's kind of funny that she's been blasting all these judges for bail reform and saying, oh, they need to do this, do that. And they literally had a meeting yesterday to talk about whether or not they wanted to have like a resolution that would require bonding companies to charge 10% before signing off on a bond, and motor mouth Kim Ogg suddenly abstains from the vote. It's like,
Right.
I thought you had really, really strong opinions on this, Kim. Why are you doing that? And if you think about it, she courts progressives who, she wants to vote for her as, a very progressive, groundbreaking DA, but she also lives in Houston and she wants the support of the police. And so
Right.
she is, and don't forget, she's also super tight with Andy Kahn at Crime Stoppers. And, and they have just been waging media warfare on these poor judges who are in her own party. And the three of us know that they're following the law, that they can't just revoke or hold someone at no bond without a hearing that the prosecutors have to ask for, because, we're not going to ask a judge to hold our clients at no bond. And she's putting them on blast, and she knows better. She knows that they've got that in all these cases that they're not asking for the clients to either have their bonds revoked or to be held at no bond. They're filing the motion, but
And then just doing nothing.
right. It's like me sitting here deciding that I want to order a pizza but not calling Domino's. You got to do the whole thing if you want the thing to come together. And they have just shamelessly put the judges on blast, including Andy Kahn. And Kim got Vivian King put on the Crime Stoppers board after a big donation, and they've got a conflict of interest because they're just blasting the judges and they aren't touching the DA's office for asking for the hearings. And so the one time Kim can actually say, we're going to do something about this, she abstains on the vote, which I think is just crazy, because that way she can tell her progressive friends she never voted for it. And I don't know what she's going to tell the cops, but talking out of both sides of your mouth is going to get tired.
It's the same. It's like, hey, I got the police union endorses me, and then I'm also for bail reform. This stuff doesn't make sense to me.
She's an ultra right wing progressive. So
yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. It makes no sense to me. I did see one time about 6 months ago, I went to eat some sushi and I saw her eating, and I said, "Hey, Kim," and she said, "Hey," and that's it. And I was like, she's a real human.
I actually have a funny story about that. So my wife and I went to have dinner at a restaurant over here in Heights area-ish, and so we go there, and we're going with a friend of ours who's a realtor, and so we're having dinner. And earlier that morning, Vivian King had just put Carrie Blakinger on blast for like an article that Carrie had done. She was still with the Chronicle, and she like attacked Carrie for being in prison and all this stuff. These things that Carrie wears as a badge of honor. Vivian's in there advertising her in commissioner's court. And so I had just read these tweets from a lot of us who were supporting Carrie for what Vivian said. I just found out about it. And so I'm looking at my cell phone at these tweets, and I look up, and Kim Ogg has been seated at the table across from me, like booths side by side. And so the animosity was not as bad as it is now. But I was just like, okay, like, she doesn't make eye contact with me or anything. And so I sent Carrie a text. I'm like, you're never going to believe this. Kim Ogg just sat down. She's like, where are you? I'm on my way. And so Carrie shows up. She walks in, and she makes a beeline for our table. And as soon as she does, Kim is doing like literally doing this. And the second she sees Carrie, she goes, like, it's bad enough that I've been having to ignore him for the past 20 minutes, and now you show up.
Are you serious?
And then I was like, Kim, we should all take a selfie. She's like, no. I'm like,
that's awesome.
It was pretty funny.
When did this happen?
Oh, this had to have been 2 or 3 years ago, but
that is so awesome.
Actually then came over to the table, and I introduced her to my wife, and she was quite pleasant, but she was very firm on that no selfie policy. So
do we know who's running against her in the general?
It's way too early. I mean, as soon as I would guess we'll know by December. There's all kinds of rumors swirling around. I don't put any stock in any one of them more than another. There's rumors that she's gonna. I've heard a rumor that if Whitmire gets the mayorship, that she's going to run for Senate. I don't know that I believe that one, because it seems like that would be a political power step down. I kind of thought she would
Yeah.
run against Hidalgo, but she didn't, obviously. I've heard that that if she does that, that she was grooming C.O. Bradford to be the next best candidate. I don't know that I believe that either. There's a lot of stuff swirling around. I can guarantee you that it will not be me. So,
do you think?
I won't guarantee that it won't be me. I haven't taken it off the table yet. I haven't closed doors yet.
Well, do we think that at least in the election that's coming up, do we think the Republicans are going to come out strong, and we're going to see kind of what I mean? I wasn't around in the I was around in the 80s, but I wasn't a lawyer in the 80s. But they say that Democrats came in, a bunch of people started dying, everybody's out on bond. Republicans came in and then held it again for another 20 years. Do you think that's going to happen?
I think that they're going to be stronger, but I don't know if they'll be strong enough. The interesting factors that I see in this coming election is that Beto. I like Beto. I'll vote for Beto, but Beto doesn't generate the excitement that he did when he first appeared on the scene, 4 years ago and ran against Ted Cruz. And I think that each time that Beto has taken a stab at running for higher office, he's lost a little bit of gas in the tank.
Steam. Yeah.
And so, in all honesty, I think the most exciting race in Texas is probably going to be the AG's race, to see what happens with Paxton and actually that one may all be decided pretty much here in this runoff between him and George P.
Bush. Isn't that a little surprise?
That was surprising.
It was kind of funny in that, because if you're a Democrat, you really had you had to pick who you hated worst, Gomert or Paxton, because those are both two pretty big lightning rods for the Republican Party. But going back to what I think is going to happen in Harris County, I think it's going to be all about whose voters go all the way down ticket and turnout, because there's not. The only reason I'm kind of worried about it is there are not a lot of factors that will drive Democrats to the polls. We don't have a senator on the ballot this go round. You got a governor who's, just being honest, is probably already a foregone conclusion. The statewide races are going to be Republican, so it's going to be about turnout.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. I think a lot of people are predicting a huge Republican turnout.
Yeah, but I think that I'm more worried about Democratic apathy than I am about.
I don't think it's going to be a big Republican turnout. I'm just concerned it won't be a very strong Democratic turnout.
I don't know. I've seen some of the stats. If you really want to know really inside baseball, hardcore thinking on it, you should definitely check out Charles Kuffner's website, offthecuff.com, and that's KUFF. He does some really interesting statistics based on turnout in previous years. I would have thought that this year was, abysmally low. Apparently it wasn't, as far as turnout in the primaries. I think there was more Republicans that voted, but apparently that's consistently been the case over the past several years of them voting in the primaries.
So let me ask you this, Murray. So how do you explain the outcomes in the primary challenges in Court 7 and Court 8?
And Morton and Judge Morton, and who's the other Mexican that lost? What's his name?
Why are you so racist?
What's his name? The other Hispanic that lost. What's it?
There was
Mauricio.
Yeah, and then there was
Jason Sanchez. No, not Jason Sanchez.
Yeah, Sanchez lost.
It was Carlos.
And Carlos.
Yeah. So what I think, I had a conversation.
But you had Jimenez win and
he had Erica Ramirez won. This is what I think, that in the Democratic primary, that and it's good, if in all honesty, I think that the people that went out there and really hustled and worked and went to these groups and went and met with precinct chairs and got endorsements, I think it paid off for them, because I think
It
It
had
was
to.
grassroots.
I think
Grassroots campaign.
I heard the Hispanics didn't come out. I heard we just didn't show. Along with same thing with the Asians. Long got blue
Well, but
out.
what I'm trying
and
to point
so
out
did
is that
Twee.
you have in court 7, you have the Anglo male name prevailing over the Hispanic male name.
Well,
Court 8, you have the Hispanic female name prevailing over the Anglo male name. And I didn't know how much identity politics was playing into this, or if it was more. I think Murray's explanation of it just being a grassroots campaign, one winning over another.
They had to have, right?
And I love Franklin Bynum like a little hippie brother.
Likewise.
Of Judge Bynum, but you got to remember, when he ran 4 years ago, he ran as a socialist. So, while you had all these other Democratic candidates that were going to all of the different meetings, Franklin pretty much said from the start, I'm in an offshoot, guys. I'm running as a socialist. So he wasn't developing those same grassroots that almost every other candidate was. Now, I don't know whether or not he tried to bridge that more in this election, but I'm friends with Judge Bynum, and I'm friends with Erica, and I know that I saw her hustling. We all, if you're on Facebook, you saw them all at the same events.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I think that's where it matters, is the folks that showed up. Chris Morton beat Joseph Sanchez. I love both those guys, but I think Chris has a really long, well-established history.
He
with
killed Sanchez. Killed him.
Yeah.
It was Jason, right? Not Joseph?
Joseph Sanchez.
Joseph Sanchez?
60-40. Just killed him. And Erica killed Frank. Judge Bynum.
Mm-hmm.
But Franklin's also is somebody who's gotten his name attached to a lot of negative press too.
But so that's Judge Morton. Judge Morton maybe more so.
So Judge Morton got some negative press early, with some of the bond stuff. But then, as the pandemic wore on and more repeat offenders were picking up stuff, all those judges. I mean, show me one district court judge that didn't get raked over the coals by Crime Stop.
Sure. Absolutely.
They all did.
338.
Well, yeah, except for Judge Franklin, and God only knows what she's doing. Yeah, she's definitely an anomaly.
How did
She never got raked over the coals for PR bond practice? No.
Well,
not in the media. Not in the media. Just by the court of appeals.
It's the sarcastic joke that I always make. Nobody loves a sex offender. It's like no one's ever going to get mad at a judge for being too tough.
That's that question. No. That's the question the prosecutor asks. Who doesn't like a pedophile? It's like, dude, are you okay? That's 5 minutes of a nonsense question.
And the JV's always like, I'm sitting right here, but
yeah, I'm like,
come on, guys.
Hey, so who's on? So Twee Lee got smashed.
Yeah, I do think that there may be that may be because of her name. Yeah, same thing with Jason Long.
Well, and that's what I'm. So Long's going on a runoff against Andy Beal.
Yeah, and I mean, I have absolutely zero issues with Andy Beal. She's always been nothing but nice to me, but her platform is clearly that of a Republican. And
right.
And, I mean, she's on Fox 26 on the Breaking Bond show that they did. So is the lady who almost avoided a runoff in the 208, Beverly Armstrong, who's now in a runoff with Kim McTory.
Do we know Beverly?
I know of Beverly. She apparently was an assistant district attorney in Galveston, and then was first assistant in Polk County under District Attorney Lee Hahn. And Lee Hahn had reached out to me and asked if I wanted to sit down with her. I was like, well, I'd love to, but I mean, I do this blog, but it's not like I really sit down and interview each candidate. I don't have time for that. I run a real law practice, and I have to do my job first. And usually when I write these things, it's me basically just talking about what I know about a candidate. If I don't know, I tell them I don't know. But I did have a lot of people that I knew of whose opinions that I respect say that Armstrong is a good person, a good prosecutor, and I like him a lot too. I feel bad for Greg Glass because I think he really, I think he really took the worst of the raking over the coals that they did on the bond on an issue I just don't think was his fault.
It wasn't.
It's a nonviolent drug offense. Even though the guy's a true habitual, he declines to hold him at no bond, and then the guy he kills a police officer and gets himself killed while they're executing a warrant, and that's tragic. But if we literally were holding at no bond every single habitual, which is a possibility, that the jail would be expanding past capacity by a long shot.
Right.
Two things. The first one is even after that story broke with Judge Glass, he was still being fair. It was incredible
He
to
was.
me. It was incredible to me that he was still listening to everything and still being fair, which was a big deal for
And
me.
he's such just a nice, kind-hearted man,
Mm-hmm.
and I know that he took that death really hard, and it's sad that politics literally wouldn't take their foot off his throat, just
Right. It's not the judge's fault that.
well, that guy.
It's funny. The blame, the accountability pushing comes from the people who also will say, guns don't kill people, people kill people.
Right. Yeah.
Judges don't kill people. The person, whatever.
Voters do. Judges.
Yeah. Right.
Voters do.
Right.
Yeah. It's stupid, and it's like that guy I was just talking about, the selling the bootleg stuff. It was a 3rd-degree felony, and he was a true habitual. Yeah, let's absolutely keep him incarcerated at no bond, unless he sells another bootleg disc. You've got to use some discretion. That's what we elect the judges to do, and they're not psychics. They're going to be those people that don't. There's no predictors, and yet they do something violent. If you're going to hold them accountable, you might as well hold a hospital accountable for releasing babies from the delivery room, because you don't know what direction they're going to take when they leave.
That's true.
Judge Martin, I think she was one of the ones that was in the mix for the ballots if they come in. She could win, but it's my understanding that she wasn't successful in it, and that she lost. Right.
She and Judge Aguilar. There's a Latino survivor that
supposedly he didn't do anything.
I don't think
really.
He did anything when he beat.
Supposedly, that's the thing. You got to be like Judge Aguilar, just kind of sit back and just kind of win your election.
I tell you what, though, I tried a really serious case in front of Judge Aguilar. He gave me a great trial.
Oh, I believe it.
His personality.
Oh no, I've heard great things about him in trial.
He literally, I've never had a judge interject themselves less into a trial. He was just there, if you object, I'll rule, but other than that, I'm just gonna watch. He did not.
Supposedly he did. He did things, right? But all the other, maybe we should just be like Judge Aguilar and just hang back.
And it's so funny because you couldn't have had a more dynamically opposite personality than Sam Millage.
Yeah.
Because Sam's such a great, outgoing, happy guy, and then you have Judge Aguilar, who's just okay. It's kind of like you and Justin, actually.
Hey, I
don't know which one I am, but I don't you think
that's racist,
that's how an incumbent judge should have to run, right?
What?
Why don't we do that? The incumbent judge just runs on their judicial record and just says nothing on the campaign trail. I know the First Amendment whole thing is a problem there, but
because
I've been thinking about that since 2 weeks ago. Judge Singer said that I don't know why, as much as politics as I love. I didn't think about this. It's kind of a big deal. Maybe you disagree, Murray, but it's kind of a big deal for someone within the party to challenge an incumbent, right? Judge Singer said, this is saying that I, as another member of your same party, think that you've gone so far afield from our party's values that I'm going to challenge you in our party's primary. And I think that there's something kind of behind that logic. Well, and I would like to hear from the people who won one of the first questions I want to have is like, what beef did you have with Judge Bynum? What was he doing wrong? What beef did you have with Judge Martin? What was she doing wrong? What beef did you have with Judge Singer, Judge Long? Like, what was the problem with well, I guess Long, it's not, we stopped at runoff, but.
And I think it's the opportunity. I think that everybody that ran against
right.
smelled blood in the water.
Say that then. Tell me that. Tell me, like, I just thought they were vulnerable, and you know, the DA, my boss in the DA's office came and asked me to run on that bench. Like, just say that. Like, okay, cool. But I think that it's the voters should know, like, what has the judge done that you think they should be removed from power? And I already have problems with running for judges, or running for office, judges running for office, and running based on party politics, like affiliation.
Shouldn't be.
I already have a problem with that. It's weird that our mayor can't do that, but our judges can. Right?
Completely. It's unseemly. And
that's a better word. You should like write for like a hobby or something.
It is unseemly, but here's the reality. If you run as a candidate in one of the major parties, one of the two major parties, part of, if you want to succeed, is that your campaign does kick back to the party itself.
Right.
Right.
And so neither side is ever going to want to let that go. Every once in a while, you'll have somebody that floats that idea of, like, let's stop making judicial elections partisan, and it alternates. I've seen a Republican, propose it. I've seen a Democratic candidate propose it. I've never seen it catch on, because they're all like, there's a lot of judges out there, and we get a lot of money from them. So why don't you just shut up?
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
So I don't see it changing in our lifetime.
Do you think the election results are any different if we still have straight party?
Yeah, no, I do. I think that the lack of straight party will actually benefit the Republicans this time.
I agree.
Because I think that Republicans, and I base this like on my family, like, we're gonna vote all the way to the end of the ballot, and that's it. I think that it would be an interesting study to see if there's a correspondence between the undervote, the people that like just nobody voted in their race at all, the further they go down this. Like for the Democrats, it was 88 different races on the ballot this year.
Yeah, which means 88 pages on these new machines.
Oh my gosh, that thing! The printer ate my paper when I put in that paper ballot. It was like, oh man, this is embarrassing. I jammed the printer. I do it at work all the time, but I did it at the election booth. So it was really humiliating.
We have about 4 minutes left. How about most surprising win or loss? Misdemeanors, and then we'll go felonies.
Let me see. Misdemeanors.
How about most hurtful? I was most hurt by Judge Bynum's loss. I like Erica and our friends, but that one hurt. That one hurt me.
I wasn't surprised by it at all.
Well, I mean, I was blinded.
I was not surprised by that at all.
Big win. Fleischer won. Big win.
Yeah.
I mean, big win.
There's, as far as the ones that won, there's nobody that I'm like, oh my God, there's nobody I'm like devastated about in it. I mean, and there's not a shocker on that. I mean, if there's anything shocking on the misdemeanor races, it's that Portia won without a runoff against someone who has been a lawyer longer than any of us. That's Stacey Bigger.
Right.
That was really surprising to me. I think Stacey. I hope to see Stacey on the ballot again in 2 years. Running against somebody on the 19th floor. But
what about felony side?
So felony, I think. I don't know that there's anything that's tremendously shocking. I am a little surprised about Sam Millage over Judge Aguilar because I think Sam was out there hustling, and as we pointed out, Judge Aguilar just kind of said,
"Hey, that's what we call,
Jesus take the wheel."
That's what we call a cool vato.
Andy Beal almost avoided a runoff.
She really did.
That was the surprising thing to me.
So the question is does Long have a chance, Judge Long, or?
I I think it's going to depend on turnout. He's going to have to get out there hustling. It'll depend on what our friend Miss Farrell, if she, I've seen candidates that they didn't make the runoff immediately turn around and announce who they were going to support, and I've seen that make a difference. You saw Jim Leitner did that when in 2008, the second he lost, he endorsed Pat Lycos in the runoff against Kelly Siegler. I mean, like the next day.
What do
just
you
first assistant? Go figure.
what do you think about the McTory race? I mean,
she almost. I mean, that also almost avoided runoff as well. So again, Kim McTory is obviously a lot more familiar to us in Harris County than Beverly Armstrong. That one's interesting to me because I think that's a huge law enforcement turnout, and they're not really people you see that much in Democratic primaries.
And
so
I wonder,
that's an interesting phenomenon.
It is, I think there's going to be, I think there might be a lot of that might be like that's going to be real unpredictable in my opinion.
Yeah, that was an unusual one, I
think. Who else? We have the misdemeanors, felonies. Who else?
We get more Marilyn Burgess.
Marilyn
Burgess. More Marilyn Burgess.
More Marilyn
Hold
Burgess.
on to hers.
I mean, at some point you could just turn on her website. It'll be playing Pong, and nobody up there should get reelected.
God damn it, Marilyn!
It's just we have no standards anymore. So.
Oh well, we have 30 seconds.
My biggest surprise is I thought there'd be more turnovers. I honestly, I
think Kim was halfway successful with her prosecutors running against incumbents. It made I think we'll definitely have some judges on the bench come January 1 that have never been defense attorneys. That's a little daunting, but we'll see. Right now we only have one, and I think that number will go up.
30 seconds, Justin. What you say?
Nothing. Let's hear from Murray. What kind of reptile you got behind you, Murray?
That's my turtle. That's T-Rex, the law turtle. I inherited him. If you'd asked me sooner, I would have let him do a cameo, but maybe next time. But I inherited him from my nephew when my nephew went off to college. He's a fantastic turtle. He watches me Peloton.
Nice.
He may be my best friend.
Nice. With that being
should have asked that a lot sooner.
Yeah. Murray
There's so much more there.
Murray Newman, Justin Harris, Jay Vella, Harris County Criminal Lawyers Association, Reasonable Doubt. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, Murray.
You bet. I'll take care.